Committee today, Monday, June 16th at 6:33 p.m. Item number 2, discussion and or action regarding approval of budget versus actuals, general fund, May 2025. Catherine Phelan, CFO.
Good evening. Local revenues are 47 million over budget. That is comprised of property tax at 1.2 million over budget, which I'm also pleased to say that the June financial statements will show another $1 million on property tax over budget due to the sheriff's office great collections of prior property taxes for 23 and 24. State revenue is still just a little bit under budget because we have not received, that's 11 months actual versus 12 months budget. Federal revenue is just a little bit under budget, 11 months in. Total revenue is 45.7 million over budget. Total expenditures are 9.9 million under budget, and you'll notice the percentage there is 12.49%, which is roughly 1 month left. So our budget was pretty tight versus reality. Most expenses are under budget. We do have a few salary items over budget. However, that is simply due to transitioning personnel and streamlining of departments. And we also have a few expenditures that are over budget for things that were not budgeted, such as demolishing the house behind the Belle Chase High School and the Belle Chase High School parking lot that was not budgeted. That concludes the presentation. Do we have any questions or comments?
Are any of the non-budgeted items the travel related to the travel requests we approved at our last meeting? And if so, would it be a big impact?
Like the buses, they were going to
Like going over budget? Is any of that cost
No,
over budget?
no, no. I wouldn't. If that is over budget, it's not significant.
Okay.
If you see there's an example of DeSoto going from South Platte High to DeSoto
Yeah, the charter
Parish,
buses, right.
that charter bus and so forth was there, it'll be minimal like that.
The amount that's budgeted for the high school parking lot, is that something that needs to be thrown into the strategic plan or the master plan?
We want to move forward with that sooner than later because of
Okay.
the need for it.
Okay, awesome.
So, and I think it's right over $1 million. I just assume let's go ahead and do that
Perfect.
because of the need.
Thank you so much.
And am I missing the upgrades to the field at Belle Chase High School?
I don't think so. That should be
what section is that on?
in the 2600s at the high school.
Yeah, the upgrades to the field, new bleachers and press box.
We may not have gotten a bill on it yet.
Yes, that is possible, or we may not be over budget in that area.
Okay.
I cannot tell you specifically if we've gotten the bill for that.
Because I was thinking that was 2620.
Okay.
Is that right? Or,
It should be in the
yeah.
2600s.
Okay. Because we don't have it. We don't
Or
have a set budget item for
athletics.
athletics. For athletic facilities.
Yeah.
Or we do. We do. Wait.
No, you are correct. We
Right,
do
right.
not have a budget currently for that.
Right.
And I think that's part of a culture that we'll get into when we start getting into that capital plan percentage in regards to it, because we've been accustomed to a habit of when we see a need, we try to take care of it, and that's just been our culture of things. As we get into that capital planning tool, then we'll start saying focused on those things unless it's an emergency that comes up. We'd like to stay focused on those things and not have to, work on two different mind streams of thoughts. We will be focused on just that capital planning tool.
Okay. And, well, I know this is not land and construction or buildings or anything like that, but do we have anything as far as upgrades to the auditorium, the Belle Chase High School auditorium, because of the plumbing issues we had?
We have not started on the budget yet because we're waiting for approval from the board on the revised salary schedules, which I will mention briefly tonight under information items, and will be presented to the board July 10th.
Okay.
So, no, that is currently not on the budget agenda, but we will definitely
Okay.
look at that.
Awesome. Thank you, man. Thank you, everybody.
All right, and does anybody have any other comments? Anyone in the audience? All right, who would like to make, or do we need a motion?
I'd like to make a motion.
Okay,
I'll second.
all right. And who would like to make a motion for this item? No, I'm sorry, a recommendation. Just to approve it?
That's what we did. That-
What did she
I'm
recommend?
assuming. I seconded a motion
Yeah.
to approve
Approve.
the budget versus actuals.
Yeah.
Was that the
And
motion
then-
that you?
My
first
apologies,
did?
yes. My
And then we make the
recommendation is to
recommendation?
approve
Okay,
the budget versus actuals for the general fund for the May of 2025.
And I seconded that motion.
thank you. All those in favor, signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, that will move to the regular meeting for July. Item number 3, information items.
I am pleased to say that we we have spent a lot of time going over the job descriptions and revising them to the current.
Actual roles in which each person
Yes.
does.
Yes. We have also synced up the language. All the formatting is consistent. We have the salary schedules that you can tie to the salary schedule book on each job description. So we plan to present that at the July 10th board meeting. It's taken a lot of time because they were outdated. We need to make sure that we were compliant in a lot of areas. Things did not conflict with school board policy, etc. So just wanted to give you all an update on that.
Does
And
that
if I-
mean Lean Frog's over? Like it's
No,
done?
if I may, so we were going through the salary study, and what we came across was that the job description, when they tried to compare us across the districts, the job description wasn't matching what other districts were doing. The title wasn't correct, or the actual work was outdated. So then it had to put a pause on the actual salary study. This is outside the classroom teacher and the principals and the school staff generally, but it's mainly, a lot of central office or custodial or bus drivers. We had to make sure we came back together and make sure we matched and mirrored before they can do the comparison. So Ms. Phelan, once again, I want to commend her. Hours, and when I say countless hours, and it's tedious. But we even have our job codes for the PEP report, so there's no more miscommunications. All systems where we had lost some money, perhaps in the PEP reports before, the codes are on the actual job descriptions now. So the system's much tighter that we have in place, and it's going to be a product that you can be proud of with the job description when they're done. I told Ms. Phelan today, next Tuesday, her and I will be locked in her office pretty much from 9 o'clock
Wednesday.
to Wednesday, from 9 o'clock till 4 o'clock that afternoon, just finalizing some stuff. And then after, because of Tuesday is the meeting with Chastity with Lean Frog and Teresa, finalizing that piece to have a finished product to sit there and us to figure out the last little pieces and the nuances together, and then to present to you as a board.
So does it mean that some people's titles will change? Is that what that means?
We do
Like-
have a few title changes. For example, The professional assistant role was a gray area. And we have synced that up to match what people are actually doing, because we were not compliant before.
Correct.
We also did not have exempt versus non-exempt on our job descriptions, which you should not do that. We have categories now, clear and distinct categories that most people fit into. We will have about 5 legacy issues, meaning that
A role that they are currently in may have a certain rate and may not be at the new rate or so forth. We had a loose structure before that when a secretary, maybe a front desk secretary at the school would leave. And I can tell you as a principal at the school, we had 2 lovely ladies who worked in the office who had since retired, but they were paraprofessionals. The paraprofessional scale and the professional assistant scale, there is a different rate of pay. They were being paid differently, but asked to perform the same responsibilities, which could get us in some trouble. So we've had some pushback in regards to why is this one being paid that? I'm doing the same thing, but they're employed as a paraprofessional instead of a professional assistant. So we have some nuances there that we'll have to, and have to talk to Andrew with. They may have to resign as a as a paraprofessional, and then accept the job as the professional assistant, because what's going to follow is the evaluation has to reflect what they're doing. No one's going to lose their job. It's just we have to get them on the right pay scale. The only way we can do that is to make sure we have the documentation that they're choosing to resign to take this other one. And we would only make sure we do that when the job, it's beneficial to the employee as far as cost. Because it makes their actual payroll goes
Does
up.
that affect
No,
their
negative.
retirement?
No, they're both in TRSL.
Okay.
So the main group with distinct title changes were the former professional assistant groups.
Because there were so many levels before.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we have a few changes in the technology department to
So we do a letter of intent.
describe what each person is doing. And then also we've
I'm like a
synced
computer
up.
technician.
Yeah, we did away with that one. We also synced up like every supervisor. Like someone may have been supervisor of food service. We simply changed all those to read supervisor at the end, meaning food service supervisor. Things of that nature.
Thank you. But now that y'all put in all the hard work, it'll be a little bit easier moving forward for all the human resources.
Ask us on
finance,
July
payroll.
11th.
Yeah, and
All the
we,
jobs will be brought to the board on July 10th.
We're hoping that
Yes.
you get a whole collective
Yes.
book
Okay.
of for all the job
We got a
descriptions.
lot
Yes.
of homework for July.
Yeah.
If I
and
can get that early, I would appreciate it.
Yeah.
If we
we'll
can-
try.
We are trying. I promise you, we are trying.
Also, we plan to review the job descriptions every 3 years so that we don't have this big bucket of
Like if somebody retires and they take
dense
on some
work.
And the cycle, and this is once again the benefit of working with agencies sometimes and consultants. What we're going to do is I'm going to have everyone in my COO year 1, CAO department year 2, and then everyone works in the finance department, CFO area will be year 3, and then the cycle will continue. So everyone's job description. Now for the teachers and the principals, they match essentially what the evaluation system is. So if they're under the evaluation system across the state, all the teacher job descriptions uniformed for that. So that's the majority of our staff. We're talking about the support staff a lot. You know, even everyone that works here, a central office, as well as, you know, custodial staff, the bus operators, and so forth. So that's the staff that we're talking about in regards to having to make sure we just finish some things. And for example, with the bus operators, the time that they were on the road, that was an issue that I had gleaned through when we talked about that. Anyone on the West Bank, when they are, for example, if you are a bus driver at South Platte High, they drop off South Platte High first in the morning, then half the drivers go to Boothville for the elementary for a second route, or South Platte E for a second route. Same thing in the north end. You're doing 2 routes. Either you're doing Belle Chase Middle School first or Belle Chase High School, but then everybody does a second route in the morning to go to the elementary and primary. Same thing in the afternoon. So you're doing 4 routes. It puts them on the road pretty much 2.5 hours in the morning to 3 hours. Same thing in the afternoon. On the East Bank, they're picking up one time going to Phoenix High School, and then in the afternoon, one. So we thought it was appropriate when you're talking about time and length on the road to have 2 pay scales for bus operators in regards to, because we're trying to respect the time. We want this board, when they're voting on things, that they realize that we're taking in those details into consideration, and that, for example, there's the old plan had like head custodians. Anyone who worked at a school over 500 was paid at a certain rate, and less than 500 a different rate. Miss Phelan and I are looking at that because we have more schools that are less than that, and find a number that's appropriate.
Yeah.
Those are those nuances that were the exact same from when we had many K-12 schools in our district. So those are a bunch of the little things that just legacy practices that we've been looking at and thinking about. Does this make sense still? So those are the things. It's a lot, I assure you. A lot.
We are one of the biggest employers in the Plaquemines Parish, right? Just as we heard earlier. So.
Yes. But our goal is to get the job descriptions July 10th to you. Well, before July 10th, as soon as possible.
Thank you.
Is there any way that we can have the old with the new, just to kind of do a comparison, like we do with policy? I mean, I don't know, I mean,
Am
I'm
I
just
wrong?
asking.
Some of them didn't even exist, right?
Correct.
Oh, okay,
Correct.
Yeah.
never mind, I was just thinking,
Correct.
In theory, that's a good idea.
it was a good idea, okay.
All right, Miss Phelan, what's your next item?
Also at the July 10th, we are planning, the July 10th board meeting, we are planning to present the salary schedules for 25, 26. We have been working with several people, getting some advice. You know, I even have to ask my payroll person, what is this person supposed to be making? Human Resources does. That's not how it should be. And then we want each department to have their own salary schedule page, so they know also.
Did we accommodate the stipends?
That's 25, 26. So that will be included in the salary schedules 25, 26.
Right.
But as a stipend, it doesn't go into the payroll salary.
Right, it's a note.
It's a note.
Okay.
Yeah.
Next April, I
I was
believe.
wondering how we're handling that because I didn't want it included in the salary when it's not really a salary.
Right.
It's a stipend. Okay.
Correct. And then also there will be the same percentage increase between steps.
Gotcha.
On every
Not
scale.
1% here, 4% there.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So we have a meeting on that next Tuesday, which will be a while. I'm on the phone, on the call. But I want to go back to the $2,000 stipend. When the stipend came into place 2 years prior, we were told and directed by attorneys in regards to advice that we do not put that in a salary schedule. As far as on the scale, we simply put it as a note. And we have, every year we've done that with a stipend. The other thing is there's supposed to be, I think, legislation that just passed that for April of 2026, there was a proposal, I believe. Did it pass for a possible pay raise from the legislature? A full raise?
I think it's still under discussion.
So,
You're talking about the one where they eliminated
22.
the HE funds to cover the cost? Okay.
yeah. Yeah,
Public
public vote is what it is. I think it made it to there to go to
Right.
public
The
vote.
stipend passed, but
Yes.
this part is going to be public vote.
Yes, and that won't be for 26, 27 school year beginning.
Okay.
You have anything else?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Any information or announcements?
We had enough tonight, I think.
I do have one question about, don't kill me. I've got one question about, is everybody able to turn in the tolls and are they being able to, I mean,
We
it's on
haven't-
everybody's mind.
We have not fully addressed that yet because we were waiting for some of the confusion
That's so kind.
to settle down and let the dust settle before we
Let them
address
try and figure it
that.
out themselves.
But the onus will be on the employees and it will be a reimbursement program and they will have to prove residency.
And we were also saying that we don't, it'd be a reimbursement period of at the most 2 times a year. Because it's a lot more work you're putting on staff members and you have to add them as
It's just
reimbursed
No.
for the amount of money, it's
Yeah.
too much work
to do monthly.
on the staff.
That's great. That's very smart.
Yeah.
Well, I would just like to encourage everyone, as I have been doing, to please take Woodland Highway and not the new Belchase Bridge.
And they're doing it.
Good.
It's
We see it.
packed.
Yes, I see it too.
All right. Any other comments, questions, concerns? Last thing, I promise, and then we'll get out. I'd like to thank the finance department because I know y'all are at the end of your fiscal year, but y'all have been rocking the whole last year, and in a very dignified way.
Oh, well, thank you. We have a very, very good group. And
Y'all
also
do.
our human resources department,
Yeah.
they are doing great
Oh, I
with
heard
our
everybody in that
payroll
building over
and
there.
benefits. Everybody's syncing up. So, we are very blessed to have them.
And even with insurance on the horizon, so I'm very excited to hear about that next time too. All right, with all of that taken into consideration, we're going to call this meeting adjourned at 6:55 p.m.
I'm gonna have to deliver that myself.
And I mean it.
Hit the gavel. You got a gavel. Hit it, girl.